welcome to Lately Coffee with Mary. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. I hope that you have something to drink, that you can just sit and chat with me here for a moment. I have been a busy girl doing this, teaching my tribe. I am a homeschool mom, and I actually use classical conversations as our main tool of education, but I wanted to share with you guys today kind of just what our days look like, because I know a lot of people are very interested as to what us homeschool moms do and how are we teaching our kids, because I know before I started homeschooling, I didn't know any homeschool moms. I wasn't homeschooled myself, neither was my husband, and so I had no clue what that looked like and if that was even an option for me. Like, it just didn't even cross my radar at all. Like, I wasn't even thinking about it until I met someone that was a homeschool mom, and I got to go in her house and see what she did every day, and that really opened my eyes to what it could be like. And I actually was a licensed teacher, so I went to college to become a teacher and educator, and I taught for 2.5 years in first grade in Orlando. And so I loved it, and I am very passionate about teaching. I'm just really passionate about people and like getting to be someone that influences and that impacts people's lives, and so teaching seemed like a great opportunity to do that. But it never crossed my mind that I'd ever homeschool my own kids. Like, that was not ever something I thought about or prayed about or anything. And then I slowly started having my eyes open to that option. And I know some of you listening are like, I would never homeschool my kids, like, and you're checking out right now. And that's totally fine, because I'm going to share things that you may not need to do as a homeschooling mom that you could just do as a mom. Or maybe you're a grandma and you could share this with your grandkids. Or maybe you're someone who doesn't have any kids, and it might just be information for you in the future. Like I didn't even realize this was an option. So I hope that you don't check out if you're not interested in homeschooling, because information is good. It's nice to kind of hear what other people are doing and kind of get a feel for other options that are out there. And my husband is also a teacher, and he currently teaches in the public school system. So I am by no means like against the public school system. And we're still not decided on what our children would do once they're older, whether or not we will send them into the public school system or the private school system, or who knows. We're not really sure. We're kind of just leading each year by year, like asking God to give us direction, which I encourage all of you to do. Do not take my word for it. Don't take your parents' word for it or your neighbors, but just seek the Lord and see what He's calling you to do with your children, because every kid and every family are so unique, and there isn't a method or a style that works for everybody. Like, it's not a cookie cutter situation by any means. And even within the homeschool world, there are so many varieties. Like, it's crazy how many different types of homeschooling methods there are, and techniques and styles. And so this is literally just one option in the sea of thousands of options. But it might help you to kind of get your appetite whetted, or maybe just give you an understanding of something you may not understand or that you're confused about. And so I'm just going to share with you some of the things that we do in our day-to-day homeschooling. So this is the first thing I want to share with you, and this is something really that any mom could do, or grandma or aunt or whomever. Just a great resource that you might want to use with your kids in the morning. A lot of books that I've read and just kind of talking with moms who are very seasoned in homeschooling always say that the morning is so crucial to just set your day right. And I have definitely found that to be true. I have 4 daughters, and my oldest is 8, and then I have a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So I'm really only homeschooling 2 of them right now, but the other 2 are definitely in the home and in the mix, and are making life very interesting every day. So but for the older 2, what I have found is that morning is so crucial. So we usually do like a storybook Bible rather than reading the actual word when they're so little. It's nice to use something that's a little bit more at their level. And so this one is phenomenal. I don't know if you can see it, but I love it because it ties in Jesus into everything that you're reading, from the Old Testament to the New. It's always kind of giving you glimpses of who Jesus is. And so this is a great book. Moms that don't homeschool could read this in the morning or in the evening and just kind of have that thread of Christ throughout your day. People always ask me, why did I choose to homeschool? And I think that's a great question, because everybody needs to know their why. Like, why did you choose to send them to private school? Or why did you choose to send them to public school? And for me, it really was just this deep desire to want to be the greatest influence in their lives. And I know that moms, whether you're homeschooling or not, are the greatest influencer in your kids' lives, but really getting to do life with them and get to see them throughout their day and get to see their highs, their lows, and the way that they're interacting with their siblings or with other kids when we go to parks or to co-ops and things like that. Like really just kind of getting to be in the mix of everything is what I was desiring. And after teaching first grade and getting to be such a crucial part of those kids' lives and really feeling like their mother in a lot of ways, like some of them even called me grandma or mom because they just would slip up, but I was with them for so much of their day that I really felt like their mom, even though I didn't have any kids at the time. And so I just recognized what a great influence that role gets to play in a kid's life, being the one that's educating them. And so I'm like, man, I would love to do that with my own kids. And that was my background, so it felt very natural and very easy for me to do that, where some of you that have never had any education background would be really intimidated. So I want to help you to not be intimidated if that's you, that you can do it. Anybody can do this, and God will equip you if he's calling you to do it. So always starting our morning with Bible study is huge. And so I'll read like a storybook with all of our family, like all the little girls, and to be honest, they're really not listening. Like Darla and Joelle are just kind of crawling all over us, so they're listening but not gleaning all that much. Sometimes they'll sit and really listen, but for the most part they're not like super engaged, which is fine because they're little, they're 3 and 1. But then as they get older, those will be crucial like moments to have with them. And then we move right into our regular Bible study with an actual Bible, which this is a really cute one that I just found here in town. And it is like God's word, like it's like all the print and everything, which is necessary to do what we do with our CBS. So our CBS Bible study looks like this, and it is like a verse-by-verse Bible study that goes through, right now we're going through Genesis, and so it mirrors what I'm doing in my Bible study, which I love that I get to do that with my girls. And so they do have to be able to read the actual Bible and then answer questions like verse by verse. So this has been an amazing blessing to our homeschooling experience, and it takes about 30 minutes. So we do this right first thing in the morning, and then right after that we'll go into language arts, and something that I just stumbled upon this year has been awesome. I love it, and it is called Lessons for a Living Education, and it is a really great method that is kind of like the Charlotte Manson method, which I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's less like content, but more specific and like mastery of the little, rather than just getting masses amount of information but never really memorizing or knowing any of it. It is more just really deeply engaging in whatever subject and seeing how it connects to every subject. So when we're doing math, it's connecting it to history and to language arts and to the Bible and to science and to everything. So nothing is just in its own box, like everything kind of crosses over, which is the real world. And so that's really helpful to have a curriculum that does that. Like it's not just compartmentalizing their education, but showing them how everything is interconnected. And that's another huge part of why I wanted to homeschool, was that I wanted my kids to see how God was in everything, that it is not just math and this separate information that they get at school, and then church is a totally different experience, but yet that God is in all of the subjects that we study and that he's a part of everything. And so I love that this curriculum does that already. Like it really just kind of brings God into everything, which is really cool. And it's circular, so you kind of like touch something and then you go around and then you come back to it. So it's always reviewing like throughout the whole year. And it's also designed to only be about 30 minutes of a time, 20 to 30 minutes that you would sit and do it, even at the higher levels, because kids' attention spans really are about 30 minutes. So when we have lessons that last like an hour or 45 minutes, like they're checking out and they can't really absorb all that information. And so I've done lots of different curriculums, and I was really wanting something that scaled it back a little bit to make it more doable just in the 30-minute chunks. And that's what science and research has shown, is that that's what's best for kids, is to only do about 20 to 30 minutes. So that's been great. We've been doing our language arts, and what I like about this is it includes like spelling words, and it includes all of like, that's not even the language arts book. This is the language arts book, I'm sorry. And it's got like It has grammar, and it has reading comprehension, and it has poems, and everything you can imagine is all in one thing. So you don't need multiple books. You can do everything all in one book, which I also really love. That I didn't have to do like a spelling curriculum and a language arts curriculum and a writing curriculum. Like there's writing, there's reading, there's punctuation and grammar. There's everything all in one book. So that's huge, and I love that. And it's only 30 minutes, so they're getting a little bit every day. And then after that, we do our read aloud and snack and recess. And for the read aloud, we just rotate through some different books. So one of the books that we'll go through is like like right now we're learning about Shakespeare in like the medieval times. So this is a book that we've read as our read aloud time for that one, which is cute. It's a Usborne book, and it's just illustrated stories from Shakespeare. So whatever our like current content is, we can find a book on that. And then we'll also do books like Heidi, just really classic good literature books. So we'll kind of rotate through different read alouds, and then have snack time and recess. And then when they come back, it's math. And I already showed you the math book, but I'll show you, oh yeah, I can show you that math book. This is Ruthie's math book, and it is great. They're just leveled, like level 1 to level 3, or I don't know how, I think probably go up to level 5. And they're great because it's also circular, and then it continues to go around. And this is my darling May. Hi, babies. You just waking up? You want to go to the bathroom? Yeah? You want to sit right here? Okay, you can sit next to mommy. Sit right here. So this one is great because it has stories about them being at the farm. So it's including math into real life. So they like go to the farm and they visit their grandparents, and they show how math is used every day on the farm, like building a pig pen and measuring what you need to put in the plants and how you're gonna, I don't know. It covers real life things, which is very helpful because a lot of times we can just really segment our lives and not see how they're used everywhere. So that's great. Again, it's only like 30 minutes, and then they have lunch and recess, and we just have like a playground in our backyard, and so that's recess. They just run around and play. And I also love about homeschooling is that my kids are each other's friends, and like only friends when we're at home. And that really helps to build stronger relationships. I was a military brat, and so I moved around a lot. And when I would move somewhere, my siblings would be my only friends for a while. And that made us so close. Like the fact that we were each other's only friends. Yes, there's fighting. Yes, there's moments where nobody's getting along. But when you realize, well, there's nobody else to play with, so we better figure it out. Like you do. You learn how to figure out how to get along. And so that has been a huge blessing for our family, is just how close our girls are because they are each other's friends. I'm also extremely social, so we do not stay at our home all week long. 2 days a week we are gone like for the whole day and get to see lots of people and go lots of places. And I think that's one of the things people often say about homeschooling kids is, oh, well, where are they going to get socialization? And that is just such like a misnomer to me because it really depends on the parents, you know, like if you're not a very social parent and you're wanting to just be reclusive and not be around any person, then yeah, your kids probably will be secluded and they won't see a lot of kids. But if you are actively engaging them in different activities, after school activities, or just co-ops where you're meeting up with people, you will see people just as much or more than public school kids or any other kind of kids. Like I'm a very social person, so my kids are around people all the time. That is not an issue for us, and I think it's really what you make it to be. And the idea of kids being like socially awkward or, you know, weird or whatever. I mean, I taught in the public school and I also taught homeschool PE for a long time, and it's really just based on the parents. Like if the parents are really athletic and socially normal, their kids are usually the same. And if they're kind of awkward and kind of different, then their kids are as well. Like it's just based on your parents more than your environment for the most part. And so I think that that is also something that is just kind of silly, that people can be afraid that their kids are going to be, you know, outcast. Well, it really depends on you and how you're engaging them and what types of activities you're doing with them. So I have not found that to be true in my experience. And then let's see, after we do lunch and recess, then we'll do our CC review. And so the thing about CC, it's classical conversation. So it's a classical model, and it's really built on building a super strong foundation. So you're trying to just memorize information so that later you can take that information to deeper depths of understanding. Because if you're wanting to be a doctor, you couldn't go into the doctor field without having the vocabulary of all the things that you need to know, right? Like, so you sit and memorize all the vocabulary, and then you can move to the next level of like, okay, well, how do these things interact?
I want you to cut this off.
Okay, I can cut it off later. And that's the same with every subject. You have to know the foundation, the just vocabulary of whatever it is, and then you can take it deeper. And I think that's what the program does, is it allows you just to kind of memorize very important facts and information, and then later you build upon it. So we do that for 30 minutes where we're just memorizing facts through fun songs and games and things. And all of my kids are coming in now. They're done with the rest. Hello, girls.
Hi.
Can you go back outside? You want to go play outside?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to take Joelle? Thank you. Normally I would turn it off and restart, but man, it is so hard to find a moment where I can talk with you, so I'm just going to allow it to be in there. This is real life. This is my kids just coming up from their naps, and now they're going to go play. Can you get Joelle? Thank you. So then after they do their CC, then they do their reading, and that's usually just one-on-one. So me and the oldest will read. Okay, girls, go outside. Take her outside, Ruthie. Thank you, Ruthie. Go, Darla. So then we'll do reading, and for reading, I think I've talked about this before, but I really love the Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. And I don't do it the way the book describes it, because it says to do it every single day and not to miss a day, which would finish this much quicker than what I did it in. But you can do it like every time you're going to do your reading curriculum, use this as your reading curriculum. And so that's what I've done, and it has worked, and it is amazing what they're able to read. Like, they end up reading very large passages, but it kind of like starts you out slow by giving you different like alternative sounds. So you see the little lines over it, it'll like help you to know what sound everything makes, and so it just helps to kind of like ease them into reading. But there are so many different reading methods, and if this doesn't work for you, then I'm sure you could find another one. But it has worked for my two oldest kids and has been such a blessing because they have enjoyed it and have learned to read through it. So we'll do reading with them, and then everybody takes a rest, and that's like for mommy and for them. Like, we all need a rest, and we all need to just be separated. So even my oldest will go in the room and they'll play, they'll read, they'll draw, they'll do whatever they want, but everyone just goes away and is by themselves. And that's usually when I talk with you guys. And then we do chores, and then meal prep, and the rest of our day. So that's kind of how our day goes. So if you had any questions, or if you wanted to know more about things, people are often asking me about my homeschooling experiences and what kind of curriculums and things that we're doing. And all of what I'm sharing with you right now may change next year, because that's just the way that it goes. You want to go outside?
No.
Yes? Okay.
Okay.
You want to go outside?
No.
Yes. Yes?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Come here. Come here. This is my littlest, Joelle. You say hi? Say hi. So I hope that you're having a great day, and that this information was useful or helpful in some way. And if you have questions, please reach out, and I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you next week. Okay, bye-bye.